Good afternoon. My name is Faris Khalid. I'm very pleased to be here and present a topic that's personally very close to me. It's something I do for a living. I conduct workshops using improvisation. And I use improvisation to help develop people's emotional intelligence. Before I actually get into that and how it's relevant to people in everyday life situations, I'll just tell you I started off with a troupe called Blackfish back in 2002. I started as a performer and I moved on to becoming the trainer there. And it was fascinating to me because what we were doing wasn't just entertaining an audience, it was understanding the concept of improvisation. Now, improv is essentially, in any context, you are responding to stimulus using your intuition. Right now, a lot of people think improv is comedy, and I've been known to be very strong about the fact that it is not just comedy. Improv, as you can see up on the slide here, is more about listening and being attentive to the people and your environment around you so you may respond. Now, if you take a look at the traits of a good improviser, person who's technically sound with improvisation, somebody who looks and listens, who works as a team member, who's not scared to fail, somebody who likes to experiment and come out on top as a good member of society. Now that leads me to this next slide, which probably gets you thinking, is he talking about improv or life skills? And this is the point that actually changed the way I approached improvisation, not just as a performer, but as someone who can develop skills that can be applied to your professional life or your personal life. The context, when I bring it to the medical professional, is if you're looking at how you fit in the social ecological system, everything starts with the self. You develop your disciplines and your skills as a person. And this is also known as developing your emotional intelligence or your EQ, your emotional quotient. And that is simply knowing and understanding your emotions and how that can impact other people and situations that you deal with. It sounds fairly simple, but if you think about it, it's a little tricky when it starts with the self. When you're talking about understanding and recognizing your own emotions, how do you respond to certain things? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And once you harness that information and you know yourself well enough, you can apply it socially. And that's when you can read other people's body language, you're responsive to their emotions, you're a little sensitive to the way they react to you. Now, using this information, you can apply it in everyday life because now you know and you're primed to deal with people and situations. So the skill set that you actually apply using improvisation is flexibility. You listen well, you work selflessly because you think that I'm going to use my skills for the benefit of the entire team and not just for myself. As a result, having a higher emotional intelligence generally for people helps improve the way you function in a team and how you can manage a team. So it's important for leaders as well as members of the team to motivate each other and take things forward. Now, if you put this in the context of medical professionals at any level, it's important because medical professionals, at any level, are dealing with human beings. You deal with patients, you deal with your own staff members. And as a result, you need to have a higher emotional intelligence or a higher emotional quotient. When you translate that to how that works with your patients, it's better bedside manners. I think that's a simple term that everyone knows. How do you deal with the patients around you? Are you sensitive to their situations and their circumstances? They're dealing with loss, they're dealing with a lot of stress. A great example is Mr. Patch Adams. All of you may have seen the film that Robin Williams starred in as Patch Adams. And it's important to understand what he did, which wasn't just clowning and comedy. It was empathizing with the patients. It was coming down to their level and saying that, look, there is someone who is not distancing himself from your problem, but I will deal with you as a human being. Because his emotional intelligence was primed and he was sensitive to their problems. And he thought of them not as a disease or a medical case, but rather as human beings that needed to be dealt with, whether they were at any stage closer to death or in the middle of trying to recover from something. He made them more important than himself. And that's why emotional intelligence is such an important part for even motivating your team members. So if you're talking about doctors and nurses or even the people from various departments, you're talking about people who are dealing with stress, empathy. You need to motivate them, and it's also important to retain your staff if you're emotionally sensitive to them. Now, emotional intelligence, some people may think sounds a little complicated. It's not. All you have to do is decide that I know what I want and I want to get better at it. I want to be a better functioning member of society. And you just say to yourself, yes, I can. And the phrase that we use in improv is yes and, which means you accept and you advance to make things progress and take yourself forward as a good functioning member of society. Thank you very much.